Hey, it's Webs here with a new mercenary build centered around a unlikely duo of Murky and Onyxia. So, since Murky's release, I've been trying to figure out a way to actually use him in a build, but because of the buffs to Trigore, trying to make a pure Murloc build is really difficult. So I needed to figure out a way to solve the Trigore problem, and the way that I figured to do this is to use Murky's first ability to give Trigore taunt, and then smack him for a bunch of damage with Onyxia. This should allow you to actually kill Trigore in the first turn, most of the games that you actually face Trigore. There is one warning to this though. If the opponent has another mercenary with taunt up on their field, then you're not going to be able to kill Trigore, and instead you're just going to do a bunch of damage to your own mercenary, so you need to watch out for that. So let's begin on the mercenary by mercenary breakdown. The first mercenary on the team is Onyxia, using Razor Shot Claws, which is a equipment that I never thought I was going to ever use, which is why it isn't fully leveled up, though you will have a lot better of a time if you can max this out, as it is more additional attack, and she is a caster, so Trigore is really weak against her. And the main ability that we're actually using when it comes to Onyxia is her first ability, as this will allow you to do a bunch of damage to whatever protector mercenary you're trying to kill in one turn. This also works against Localar. The other ability that you might want to upgrade a little bit, but it isn't too important if you don't have the necessary coins for it, is Deep Breath, just so you can actually heal her for a little bit more and make her a little bit more tanky. Alright, time for the second part of the unlikely duo, Murky. So Murky is in here for two reasons. The first one being March of the Murlocs, which is a really important equipment to fully upgrade, as it allows you to do 20 extra damage with Old-Murk's first ability. And the other major reason, which is the main synergy within the build, Slime Time. Slime Time allows you to give any opponent mercenary taunt, and this allows you to focus down any mercenary. Because he is a new mercenary, you're probably going to want to upgrade his equipment first and then upgrade Slime Time second, mainly because of the fact that the other two abilities aren't really necessary for this build, though Bubbly Bobble can be useful sometimes within the build, depending on how long Murky and Murky actually survive. And speaking of Murky is the next mercenary on the team. We're mainly using him for Finvasion, which will make all your other mercenaries attack a given target and will allow you to focus down whatever protector that might threaten your Murlocs on your team. And the equipment we're using for him is Bubble Wand, which gives him 5+ attack and Divine Shield whenever he does use his first ability. Sometimes you'll be weaving in Felfin, Navigator, and Giant Fin, but for the most part, I usually just use Fin Invasion when it comes to him. The next mercenary on this team, Nefarian, who we're using the equipment Chromatic Dragonflight. Give our Onyxia an additional 6 attack at the beginning of the game, just so she has more attack that can easily focus down whatever protector mercenary we are trying to focus down. And the main ability that we're using for him is Dragonoid Rush, as this will give you another token for the next mercenary that we have on the team, which is Sylvanas. If you're running a Murloc team or a team that generates a bunch of tokens, Sylvanas is always a really great mercenary to include. We're using the Death Volley equipment for her, as this will allow you to tie out some games that you might otherwise lose, and tying is always better than losing a game. And finally, we have Cookie, just to make our mercenaries a little bit more tanky, and he is a Murloc, so he does have synergy with half of the team, and we're using appetizers, of course, for his equipment. With that all being said, let's look at some game. Okay, so time for a game against mostly fighters, which is a little bit of a shock. I don't know how many builds actually use 50-50 split between fighters and casters. There's one in particular that I could think of off the top of my head, but what are the chances of someone else trying to play a Murloc build? Then again, Murky is a new character, so people would probably try to use him, and it is actually Murlocs. That's actually kind of a shock. Okay, so we're going to focus down Old-Murk probably first, mainly because if we get rid of Old-Murk, we basically just win the game from that position. That's 50% less damage overall because they're not actually attacking with each individual mercenary, though because of how the order of operation works here, sadly Onyxia is going to eat up the taunt, which is a little bit bad, especially because Mutanus does have taunt natural. Though we do a bunch of damage to him, so that's fine too. They do kill Onyxia, which I don't really care too much about. We could put down Nefarian next. Gonna try to focus down Old-Murk, mainly because I just want to get him off of the board to limit the amount of damage that's actually going to happen. And that was something that I figured was going to happen anyways. We're going to buff up all the mercenaries here. We do enough damage to kill Old-Murk, which is really good. Okay, so what mercenary are they going to put out next? No matter what it is, we'll probably focus that down instead of anything else, just because it is a caster. Though we might misplay a little bit here, just because I forgot that Mutanus was just going to put up taunt again. So Mutanus might actually be the one that dies this turn, though we do get to kill at least the token, which is fine, I guess. Alright, so Skelly taunt goes up, we kill the token. We attack into Murky. They heal him up a little bit, which is a little bit more annoying. We do more damage. And next turn we should be able to kill him, right? We're going to put up a pufferfish of our own, just in case we actually do not kill him. And then we're going to try to buff up all 3 of our mercenaries. The sad thing about the pufferfish is it doesn't actually spawn until the last bit of the round, which means you don't actually get to buff it up with a combo between Old-Murk and Murky. But I guess another synergy that we could have tried out would have been Sky Admiral to force the pufferfish to actually go first, which might be a little bit of an interesting build to try out in the future. But I have another one planned out for next week anyway, so at this point, so we'll see what else I need to come up with before I get down to that idea again. Mutanus is going to have to die this turn. And he does, thankfully. Our Old-Murk is getting really big, which is kind of funny. Now they don't have taunt up, which is great news for us. The only other mercenary that they could have that would give any of their mercenaries taunt is Uther, but I doubt they're going to run him. We're going to try to kill Murgle next. I guess we could go after Murky, but I'd rather get Murgle off the board. Actually, Murky might have been the better option because of that stupid divine shield. They do kill our Murky, which is a little bit annoying. Our Nefarian goes into their Murky. Probably going to want to put down Sylvanas next, because if we can get one reclaim, they do actually have Uther. That's kind of a shock. Cool idea, but you can't actually give the stupid tokens taunt from my past experience playing a build with Uther, which is kind of a sad thing, but it is what it is. If I remember right, it only targets mercenaries. I could be wrong about that. Okay, they're going to kill Nefarian off, which is to be expected. They're going to give a taunt to Murky. We're going to buff up Sylvanas, and then we're going to place down our Cookie. And if Sylvanas didn't have 71 HP, we could just instantly kill our own Sylvanas and win the game. We're going to do it anyways, just because I have a feeling that they're going to attack into our Sylvanas, and they don't have enough damage on board to kill anything else of ours. And it would be really funny if they suicide into our Sylvanas. Or they could just give up. That would be funny too. Okay, we're going to do some damage to Uther. They're going to swap, give Divine Shield to a few of their mercenaries. And now our Sylvanas blows them up. But sadly, we don't get to kill everything, and we do anyways. Okay, so it's an even team. We're going to place down Murky, then Old-Murk, and then Onyxia. It doesn't really matter the order we put Onyxia and Old-Murk, but putting Old-Murk in the middle allows us to sometimes use Murky's second ability, but most of the time we actually won't. Okay, so it is a Trigore build, so we're actually going to be able to show off the full combo of this build, and the reason why I built the build like I did. We're just going to hard focus down Trigore, as this should get rid of Trigore as quickly as possible, though there is a possibility that it doesn't, depending on how they actually target our individual units. They do kill one of the tokens, and then they're going to focus down Murky, which means Murky's offline. And we don't even get the buff up from Murky to buff up Onyxia, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. We're going to probably put down Cookie here, just because we can just nuke Trigore off of the board, and then we can focus down Thrall next. We're going to try to heal a little bit with Onyxia just to try to keep her alive for a little bit longer, since she is a caster mercenary. Getting rid of Trigore right away. They're going to hard hit Onyxia, which is fine. I don't really mind them getting rid of Onyxia as quickly as possible. They're going to go after Old-Murk, which is also fine, but they end up killing their own Thrall by doing so. Okay, so they have 1 fighter and 2 casters left, which means we should have a pretty good matchup overall. Okay, so I'm assuming the bench is going to be a Vol'jin at this point, because it looks like a Trigore build going into Shadow with Samuro added into the mix. We're going to try to use Onyxia's final ability since we did buff it up. I very much doubt it's actually going to go through, and it doesn't. Okay, they're going to focus down Old-Murk. We're going to summon a Navigator, heal all of our Mercs here. And then we're probably going to put down Nefarian next. And this should allow us to snipe Natalie off of the board next turn. Or we could even focus down Samuro. It really depends. Samuro might be the better option. Only making Old-Murk target Natalie will probably guarantee us to kill Natalie, so that's not too big of a worry. And our last mercenary is a fighter, so I'm not too worried about that either, keeping him alive. Okay, so there goes Natalie. Then we do a bunch of damage to the Valeera, but we don't kill her, sadly. But our Old-Murk is at 31 attack, which is really, really funny, and is going to allow us to do a bunch of damage to whoever we target. I really would love to get Valeera dead, but I don't think we have enough damage to actually do it this turn. But I guess the bleed effect could, in theory, kill her next turn, and we don't really care that Cookie is probably going to end up dead here. We do kill the Valeera by them attacking into Cookie, which is pretty good. Then we're just going to focus down the Samuro. And now we can drop a huge Sylvanas and just win the game from here. There's actually not much that our opponent can do. It might be a little bit greedy trying to get the cast off on Sylvanas, but oh well. Okay, so they do freeze her, which sucks, but we can just try to do the attack increase again. They're gonna freeze Nefarian, I guess? That was a little bit of a mistake. Then we should just win right here. Alright, mainly a protector and caster team. There's only a few teams that this possibly could be. Holy Humans is the #1 build that I can think of that would do something like this. Hey, it is Holy Humans. With Lich King, which is a little bit weird, but it is what it is. We're going to probably want to focus down Varian Anduin, but Varian is probably going to be the better option, just because if we kill Varian before they can actually snowball with him, they lose like most of their damage, and then we don't really have to worry about Anduin in this build anyways, because we're mainly fighters. Okay, they're going to use Retaliate, which is fine. We're going to do a bunch of damage here. They're going to hit back into Onyxia, almost killing Varian, but sadly it doesn't. Then we do here. But now we're slowed, which is a little bit annoying. But we can kill the Anduin next turn, probably. Though we could actually focus down Lich King. It really depends on how we want to do this. Alright, we're going to go after Anduin, because Vol'jin by himself doesn't really prove too much of a threat. And the fact that we can actually give Anduin taunt should allow us to actually just do a bunch of damage here, though it does get rid of his taunt when we do that. And we do freeze our 2 Murlocs, which is a little bit annoying, but we can just put Nefarian down here, finish him off this turn. Try to use his second ability, because why not? Alright, they're going to focus down Old-Murk. We're going to kill Anduin. We're going to or actually kill Old-Murk, which is a little bit of a shame, but oh well. We can put down Cookie next, just because we want to probably get rid of the Lich King as quickly as possible. Though getting rid of Cariel might be a better option too. We could also try to focus down Valen, because if we get Valen dead before any of the other mercenaries are real low, we should be fine in theory. But now they're both real low besides Valen, so we might as well just finish off the other two. We can snipe the Lich King here, which is really good. And then we can try to focus down Cariel. Alright, so they're going to focus down Nefarian, which is fine. A little bit annoying, but it's fine. We're going to give taunt to Valen. Going to still try to focus down Lich King just to get him off the board. Going to buff up the Sylvanas, trying to get her to a HP pool where we can actually just win from this position. Okay, they're going to focus down Murky, which is probably actually a mistake on their behalf, but I'm perfectly fine with them doing it. Going to try to heal our Cookie a little bit here. We're going to focus down Lich King just to get him off the board, minimize the amount of damage that they can actually have out on the board. Lich King dies. We're going to give more attack to Cariel, which is fine. And then they get to put out their last mercenary, and we can actually just kill them off from this position. We could even hard target our own Sylvanas if we really felt like it. Going to do as much damage as possible to Cariel, because that's the only chance they have of winning if we don't kill it. And they do focus down Sylvanas, which is actually really good for us, and we just nuke them from here. Alright, now that we've looked at some games, let's discuss my final thoughts of the build. So overall, this build actually did pretty well. It does counter a bunch of the Trigore builds that are floating around right now, and is something that not a lot of people are going to actually expect. Though this does have a clear weakness against orcs, because there are so many protector mercenaries in an orc-based team. But if you're not facing those, this is actually a pretty decent build overall to try, and it's a little bit of a unique way to actually use both Onyxia and Murky in the team. With that being said though, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, bye bye.